welcome to For the Fans. I am Kevin and I'm here with CJ. What's going on, CJ?
Just chilling. How you doing?
I'm good, man. You listen, we're here to talk about that HOH episode. Nicole's out the house. Life is different, you know? It's a nicer place. No? No?
I know it. Nah.
Well, before we do that, as you know, right now, when we get to 250 subscribers, we are giving away a signed golden power of veto. So make sure you hit that button to subscribe and like and comment because we would love to give that away. It's going to be signed by a former Big Brother house guest, a former veto winner. So make sure you get subscribed to the channel. In addition, when we get to 500 subscribers, we are giving away an HOH robe and another signed golden power of veto. So I'm excited for that. We just got to get people signed up and subscribed. So get subscribed. We'll be drawing names randomly and having a grand old time.
Let's get those numbers to the moon.
Let's go. But before we get all those subscribers, let's CJ, how are you liking the house so far?
I know we've talked about it a little bit, but I was real close to hate watching this season up until the formation of the leftovers. And it's been a thing of beauty seeing the last couple of weeks of Blindsides and watching the house get completely flipped on its head. And it's funny because the Amira vote was just shocking. Like, no one knew what happened. We saw some Oscar-worthy performances by members of the leftovers, just deny. This Nicole one, you could see there's a new line in the sand, and people know if they're on the right side of the line or not.
And I mean, there was a strong push, as you know, to try to save Nicole in the 11th hour. Right. And when they realized that wasn't happening, that's when that line was solidified. Kinda like it's firmly there, but not everyone sees it, which is weird.
Right. Yeah, it's the people are in denial because for whatever reason, there's still that stigma about Taylor in the house. So what it really comes down to is if you've come around on the idea that she's a good person or not, because the people who are outside of that group are the same ones who Taylor's living rent-free in their head.
Yeah, and it's sending them home. By the way, before we get too deep, make sure you guys are commenting and writing in the comments. We are here to chat with you guys about the show as we go through the show. So, like, we have here Dick York, my guy. He has said he is winning that veto. So, he's out there. Make sure you guys are writing in the comments. We're here to talk to y'all. Milo, we see you. Let's get into it. And like you said, they are living rent free. She is living rent free in their minds. She's just staying there, and she's just living. Her and them Lays. Listen, Lays. Let me talk to you real quick. Let me just chat with you guys. Lays, listen, Lays. Sorry, CJ, I had to put you to the side. Lays, if you do not jump on board and get this woman some kind of get her a sponsor. She's to be in some commercials because she is eating them Lays. She's just eating them up, and she is putting Lays on the map. So y'all just make sure Lays you give Taylor Hale a call when she gets up out of there. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, CJ, sorry about that. I had to pontificate a little bit. She's just living in her heads, eating them Lays and just eating them all up and just chilling while they're frantically worried about her, and is clouding their vision of the actual game.
Right.
And that's why Nicole went home.
It's crazy because it's just like, I know one bad decision in the house, telling the wrong person the wrong bit of information can be your undoing, but just a logical beef is what's proving to be a lot of these people undoing. It's crazy to me.
The funniest thing to me about it is the fact that they they are so focused on Taylor, and then all of the moves, the Amira Turner, the Amira Terrence put up, the Amira vote out, the Nicole vote out, the probable Daniel vote out, right? These decisions seem to not make any sense to the outside group, which is so crazy to me because there's a common thread, and the common thread is Taylor hate. Yet they've all exonerated themselves.
Right.
They're like, listen, I heard there was some Taylor hate, but it wasn't you. It wasn't you, dog. It wasn't you. And they're like, no, Terrence, it wasn't me. Daniel says, it wasn't you either, Terrence. And Terrence like, nah, I don't know who it was. Bruh,
now
it
we're
was
both
all
saints. We're saints.
And they're like, why would they even do this? It's crazy to me.
And it's funny because this is like I said, it's all the Taylor hate. And if the common denominator is she keeps skating by or, escaping the bullet another week, it's like, well, if her enemies are keep going home, maybe I should stop being her enemy.
You know what the craziest thing to me is that her enemies keep going home and nobody has been like, hey, listen, Taylor, I don't know what's going on, but I'm real sorry for the things I said. And can you please can you tell whoever's coming to get it, because it's literally a boogeyman, right? They're like,
Right.
You're getting caught in the middle of the night and getting taken away because the votes just happen to be there. So I would go to Taylor and be like, listen, I don't know who it is. I don't know who did it, but like, I'm sorry for anything I said about you. And do you think you could, I don't know, call them off? Don't come for me. Don't come for me. I mean, and I would go to Taylor. That's the person because she's the common denominator here.
Right. Like, Taylor, can I make you sandwiches this week? Taylor, do you want me to like freshen your towel before you get out of the shower? Listen, Taylor, do I need to kiss the ring? Like, tell me what to do.
That bag of Lay's looks empty. Let me go to the storage room. That bag of Lay's. Let me get them out of here. I got some Lay's. I got some Lay's for you. Here you go, Taylor. I got these Lay's for you. Oh, I'm so sorry. And
they're
listen,
out of control.
Like Mila said right here, Nicole implied that Taylor was sleeping around with the dudes. Like, that is not the thing to do when Taylor is the one taking you out.
Yep.
Right? And it's all the same, like, MO. It's just crazy to me.
Well, so here's another thing. If Nicole's implying that Taylor's sleeping around with the dudes in the house, Daniel's the only one who's going to be upset because he's the only one not getting any action. So how does that even help your argument?
Yeah, you would think. And that's it's crazy that's what she's going with. But like, that's why Nicole's on the outside. And before we get into the episode, CJ, there was a lot of exit press. We talked about it on Thursday night's episode. Yep. Like, if the exit press didn't come right, we didn't know what we were going to do, if we were going to be able to forgive her. And the amount of times, like, people just jump. My favorite was I was watching the Rob Has a Podcast exit interview. They had 5 good minutes, and they said, cool, excuse me, Taylor, we're just going to get right into it. The Taylor hate. I know you played the game too. I don't really care. There's Taylor hate though. So you said Taylor was a bad person while she was praying for you. What exactly did she do that was bad? Excuse me. Thank you. Can you tell me? and she had to do that all day long.
And she should have.
It was another one of my favorite ones was I was watching the Winner Circle, which was a Derek and Cody's podcast. And Derek's like, listen, I know I've been watching, you've been answering all these questions all day, but we got to ask. So let me ask you about this Taylor situation. And they had to ask too. And then Derek was like, also, as the other resident cop here, you didn't do a very good job detecting what was going on in the house.
What are you talking about? She did an excellent job. Remember when she told all the girls she was a detective? She made sure to open the door and look outside. There will be no eavesdropping in this house.
Listen, I'm a detective. Let me make sure nobody's here. All right, we're in the clear. So
It's safe in here.
As Milo said, it was so gratifying, and it was great having her have to explain herself and do that constantly. My last one I'm gonna mention was on the podcast with Jason Guy and Rachel, the Secret Alliance podcast. Um, Hannah was filling in, and right before they left the house, Daniel said that if Hannah Chada doesn't like me, oh man, I might as well just end it all. And then and then Nicole said, "Oh man, I hope Tiffany doesn't hate me. Like I hope Tiffany likes me." Listen, Hannah went hard at Nicole, and I don't know the words. She will leave no crumbs when Daniel is out the house.
Oh, Daniel's gonna cry.
He's gonna cry. He's gonna cry. He's a very emotional guy.
Yeah.
But before we get into Daniel, I mean Daniel may win HOH. We're gonna get into that right now. Let's just jump right into it because it's been a not so wild week in the show. But let's get into it. So we start off the episode last night. Taylor got another one out, another one that they thought for sure Taylor was a done data. Nope, she was safe. Nicole was gone, and the leftovers, they're safe. They're now in the Festy Bessie situation. Taylor has put herself in the India Alyssa situation. So now if you put them on the block, Taylor's gonna be safe there. The only ones that are still exposed are Michael and Brittany, but everyone else is protected.
And it's funny because Michael and Brittany were the ones that pointed out, hey, we're the only ones who's not insulated. It's probably in our best interest to leave Alyssa and Indy up there. And you saw on Thursday that was going to be the plan until Daniel decided to be a hero. Oh, yeah. You want me to not put Taylor up? Well, now Taylor's going to go up.
No, it's even better. Let's play it out real fast. I'm going to be Monty. You be Daniel. All right. Daniel, are you thinking about using the veto?
Absolutely not.
Yeah, Absolutely. It's probably a good idea because I don't think Nicole would be safe if you used it. So it's probably best to keep it the same.
So what you're saying is if I use this, I'm going to backdoor my best friend in the game.
Right. You don't want to do that because I don't think Nicole has the votes to stay here.
Well, you know what? You're a terrible liar. So I'm 100% going to use this veto, and I'm going to force your hand.
I wouldn't do that if I were you, but sounds good.
Too late. I already sent it in.
Then you gotta hit the words. Clown, clownery, idiot, fools, clowns.
complete with clown music.
Yeah, exactly. And then just like that, with the red nose, Nicole went out the door, just like he said. And the vote was a 9-1 vote. Only Daniel was on the wrong side of the votes because everyone wanted to make sure they're on the right side of the vote. Once they found out what was going down. When Daniel asked the girl, Alyssa, why did you? I thought y'all were with me. And she's like,
right.
We just wanted to be on the right side of the vote. We heard that's where the vote was. Sorry, Nicole.
Yeah, like Alyssa, she was just like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, just you almost had it, Daniel.
Yeah, what else? Damn, Daniel, you almost had it, but it didn't work out. So we had to go with the numbers.
You see what we've talked
right?
about it before. We've talked about the fact that people are always like, I want to be on the right side of the vote, which makes no sense. But okay, whatever. Daniel, if you know everyone wants to be on the right side of the vote, you can't really be going after these people for doing what they've been doing.
He said, I am going down with this ship. Who's with me? And then everybody was like, I heard there was like some life jackets like over there and like a boat we could jump on. And he's like, what? No one went down with me? No,
and like it's really funny because he knows even if he had a chance to be on the right side of the vote, he still would have given her a sympathy vote.
Yeah. He was always going to vote for Nicole to stay.
So I don't know why you're so upset.
Right. And now that he's not just so upset. The vote happens, the vote goes down, and after that, he is just goes ballistic. You can't
Yep.
all split the check. You can't just split the 750. You just can't do it. Monty, this is bold. Monty and Michael won the game. It's already over. Pack it up. Send me home. Nicole, I'm coming to get you. You know what I'm saying?
Wait for me in LA, Nicole.
Wait for me, Nicole. Wait for me. I'm coming to see you. Like that. The vote has just happened. And for you to then say to Monty, it's a good job tricking all these people, dog. Like I kudos to you for getting them all on board to vote out Nicole. I don't know what you're doing, man, but you deserve to win the game for that.
The two favorite things that Daniel said in that was the combination of Michael and Monty, you guys just won the game, and telling Monty that he has his vote in jury.
Yeah.
So number one, like, I don't understand why you're doing that. But number two, why are you acting like this was a blindside? You knew all day she was going home.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
I couldn't believe it.
At the time that he played the veto, he honestly thought he had the numbers. But over the course of the week, it became very evident that you didn't have the numbers, including lighting into people Thursday afternoon before the show went live. So then she goes out. It's like, okay, I thought your tantrum was over. Nah, man, we were just getting started. That was the first act.
Yeah, you got to ratchet up, baby, ratchet up. And that's what was crazy, because by doing that, you are putting Monty on notice. And yes, you're blowing up his game to a degree and Michael's game to a degree, because you're trying to put a microscope on them, because everybody else is supposed to be like, wait a gosh darn minute, Monty might win this game, though we're still at 10 of 16 people or 12 of 16 people or whatever. Like, there's still we're not even at jury yet, right? Game isn't over. But for you to decide that that's how you're going to go out, like, bro, I'm surprised he didn't just get in a suitcase and follow Nicole out the door. Just like ride the suitcase out the door at that point. Because, like, if that's how you're going to behave, there's literally no recourse other than for you to win the HOH. Because to behave like that, you instantly become, and I'm not even going to say a house target, you become the persona non grata on your own, and you've made yourself the house most wanted, right? Because you're here to not only call people out, which is fine, you throwing salt in Monty's game is fine also, because he was just the HOH, but for you to hit Michael with a stray,
right? Michael's like, man, I was just sitting here. I would have been eating Lay's, but Taylor already got him. Now,
Dick here in the comments says that he would like to think that most people would see Michael as a threat without the call out. And you're correct, Dick, that most people would. Michael's a very obvious threat. At this point, he has won 3 vetoes, and he has won 3 vetoes at this point. All the vetoes he's played in. He's coming second place, if you will, in like HOH comps and stuff at this time. But it's not about, it's one thing for me to know that you're a threat. It's another thing for someone else to make it known you're a threat, to say it out loud. Because by saying it out loud, everyone's now going to think about it, and it's now front of mind.
Yeah, like everybody knows Michael is undefeated in vetoes this season.
Right.
Like, but
never lost.
Hasn't won any.
Never lost.
Yeah, he hasn't lost a veto he played in this season. And like, has he won HOH yet? Nah, but we've only had 3 of them. So like, or 4 of them. So it's going to come, you know? So like, Michael, everyone knows Michael's a threat, but when you hear them talk about threats inside the house, nobody ever actually talks about Michael being a threat.
And because it puts you in his crosshairs, man.
No, but what I'm saying is, like, I don't think people associate him as a threat right now is because he's paired with Brittany. So they don't think he's actually running the game. They just think, oh, he's a comp beast. They don't know that he's in the inner circle.
The reason that they don't consider him they know he's a threat, they think that he could be our weapon, right? The girls think they can use Michael to get out the guys. He's in the leftovers, so they're like, cool, we're going to put Michael and Brittany up, knowing that he'll win the veto, and we can put up the real target we want, right? Like, he is the ultimate weapon at the moment, but he's our weapon as far as each group's concerned. So when you have someone like Daniel shouting from the rooftops, Michael's going to win this game. Look at him. Look how, bro, you're playing a fantastic game. I want to make sure Everyone, make sure you hear me. You're playing a fantastic game, and I love the game that you're playing. You deserve to win this thing. When you say stuff like that and
Yeah.
make sure you're a spectacle, it then puts you in the front of people's mind. Even though they knew that you were there, they'll stop thinking of you as their weapon and just realize that you are a weapon and you're just dangerous for anyone that wields you.
Yep.
And that's why they're not thinking of him as a threat currently. But Daniel's call out is going to put him to the front of mind for some people.
Yeah. Yeah.
And,
And it sucks for the guy because he's just in there living his best life. He's
mm-hmm,
just living the lifelong dream of being a Big Brother player. And
mm-hmm.
he's actually probably way better at it than he thought he would be.
Yeah. He probably didn't think he was going to win all these comps, but here he is winning 3 vetoes. He's like, listen, man, I can go in there and play in a veto and be okay. So put me on the block. I could probably try to make something happen. But before we get into that, we have this HOH competition. And as we know, for Daniel, this is a last-ditch effort, right? You just blew up on Monty. You just blew up on Michael. Your best friend just went out the house. Nobody voted with you. The chips are just stacked against you, right? And I felt bad for him for a half second because they had him go first. Whatever random draw happened, him going first. Like you, CJ, you watched the challenge. In the challenge, it's much more beneficial to go second, so that way you can at least strategize after you saw someone fail.
Yes.
And for Daniel, he had to go first on this obstacle course thing where there was multiple beams and it was leading to the podium, which was the same competition they played last season, where SB won when she was HOH. Well, it was Kylan's like third HOH that he ran, but you know what I'm talking about. So it was in that competition SB won it, but Daniel takes the blue rail to another blue rail over, and it gets done in like 16 seconds. But he had to go very first.
So he went very first, and I understand the idea that like your back's up in it, you want to guarantee you lock in a time. And you want to have a time that's kind of difficult to make people stress out about, like, you want to set the pace, basically. So he went easy, medium for the difficulty levels on his rails, which I understand. But if you're going first, go for broke. Because if you somehow succeed, everyone is going to be pressing to try to catch you. Versus, like, I just want to make sure I lock in a time. Okay, I know how fast you went. I can already figure out how to beat you. If you just take the most difficult path and fail, and someone beats you later, so be it. But you got to at least go for broke.
And so he took the medium route. Immediately, Michael looks and is like, look, man, I got to go for it. I'm second. I'm one of 6 leftovers that's going to be competing in this comp. I have to go for broke. And he goes difficult, gets it done in 11.79 seconds. Beats Daniel by about 5 seconds. Insane.
You know what's funny? Is we talk about the show like when we hang out and we watch feeds and we do stuff. And like over the course of the weekend, I heard that Michael had only beat Daniel by 5 seconds in whatever the HOH comp is, because we got nothing on Thursday's episode. And I was like, 5 seconds in the HOH comp, like, okay, that's decent, but that's not crazy if it's an endurance comp. Oh no, it's a 15-second race, and he dusted him if he beat him by 5 seconds. That would be like somebody winning the 100-meter dash by like 2 or 3 seconds. By 5 seconds.
Smoked. Just straight smoked it.
It was crazy.
It was crazy, especially watching that get done. And it was remarkable because the way they were talking about it during the week, I thought that it was like closer. But like as the comp continued to go on, Kyle got a little closer than Daniel. He would have beat Daniel's time. I think one other person would have beat Daniel's time. Bruh, let's talk about the real story here, other than Michael winning. Turner's face plant. Woo-wee! Like I was on Twitter today, and someone and they posted the screenshot, the motion cap of Brittany and Taylor looking, and then Turner falling because he goes on the hard rail and he slips and basically almost busts his head on the stage when he's going down. And they said this looked like when you see one of those Nickelodeon shows where they throw the fake body when the guy like jumps out the thing. And I was like, oh, it is, because it's like just the mannequin, like it was when they throw like the sack of like the body, so it looks like somebody fell down, or like when they used to throw Jazz out the house on the Fresh Prince, and you see like the body get thrown out the house. It was like that.
It was 100% like that.
Yeah,
yeah. My favorite was the wide shot of the cast with Turner looking like he's breakdancing in front of him, and everyone's like, "Oh shit!" And then there's Terrence just not giving a damn. He's just sitting there, blank expression. He's just there to get paid for the summer.
Yeah, it was. Turner ended up being cool. He ended up being. He's like, I'm alive. It's okay. But it was one of the funniest gifts. I mean, hold on. Let me see if I could share this thing real fast, because this was just, it was just so funny. And I feel like you guys that are watching need to see it. So it was just zoomed in with just the two of them, and so you should see his body going into it.
Look at Terrence, does not care.
It was as Dick said, that was rough. Jackie said the reaction shots from that were amazing, and they were hilarious, and I loved it. I loved it. But turning into being okay. Everybody was okay. Daniel does not win the HOH. Michael is the new HOH because his time, even though he went second, was unbeatable. Whoo! Michael and Brittany are safe, CJ. That was the Achilles heel, right? That was the Achilles heel, and somehow they were able to cover it. They were able to cover their Achilles heel.
You know, it's funny because watching that, every time Michael's back has been up against the wall this season, he has delivered.
Yeah.
Each time he needed the veto, he took it. This time, he needed protection for himself and Brittany this week, so he wins HOH. You know when people are like, all right, you have somebody to take one shot, one basketball free throw or three-pointer to save your life. Who are you taking? Steph Curry, Kobe, whoever. No, I'm taking Michael.
I am okay. So, like you said, one shot. Most people would be calling Steph. Normally, I would before this season. Now, Michael, you're right. Michael Bruner is the guy I'm calling, because if anyone is going to make sure we stay alive, especially if he knows that his life's on the line too.
Yep.
Michael Bruner he's coming through, and he's going to sink it. Like I'm going to call him, and I'm going to start heading for the exit because I already know what's going in. Like it's already, I don't even need to watch it.
Yeah, I'm going to be making dinner reservations.
Yeah,
Michael, you saved our life. I am taking you out.
Your life is on the line. Doesn't even matter, baby. I'm good to go. I'm good to go.
Yeah, we got plans later.
He's goes out there and he competes, and he saves him and Brittany. Brittany now has a half HOH, I guess. I don't really know how that works.
They were very clear that only one person is the HOH, in the same way they were very clear that only one person has to use the veto. So she's just along for the ride.
And she's cool with it.
And unlike with SB, this is not a Kylan shadow HOH. Right. This is just Michael doing his thing.
And she's like, cool, it keeps us safe, which is the best part, though, right? Is that I just can't get over it. Like, the only group that was not safe was the two of them. And so Michael said, I'm going to go out there and make sure we are safe. Right. Especially when Daniel set the pace at 16 seconds.
And you're I'm gonna get to the bottom 2.
Of yeah, I got to go out there and get to work. Get right to work.
It's really funny because as we saw in the episode, the leftovers have the whole discussion about how all of the groups are covered now because with Alyssa, with Indy, with Jasmine and Turner, when you have the boys all together and you got Daniel and Kyle, no matter who uses the veto, or no matter what team wins the veto, they have control of who's going up because only one person has to play the veto.
Right. Right.
So,
And so it's always going to get forced. And
yeah.
then they'll always be putting up somebody and they'll always be voting out someone that they don't need there with them, which is great. So immediately after Michael wins, the first thing he's got to do is talk to Brittany. They go into the room and they celebrate.
Yep.
And he immediately gets into the plan. He's like, look, man, so obviously Daniel is the obvious vote, right?
Persona non grata.
Right. And he is out here shouting my names. This is, I mean, let's take it back to the beginning of the episode. Him calling out Michael. This is why you don't do that.
Right.
Right. And so he's like, Daniel's out here shouting his name saying he's going to win the game. That's not a good look for him. So he says that. Then we get into Michael winning. So immediately he's like, obviously Daniel's got to go. But how do we set this up? Obvious answer. You put up Terrence, Monty, and Joseph, because that way you got some guys that are going to go out there and play for the veto. I'm not putting up Alyssa and Taylor because I'm not putting up Taylor. And we can't give Daniel the chance to play for the veto. And Terrence and Jasmine can't do anything.
Yeah. Like, unfortunately, we can't throw Jasmine in there because if it's Jasmine in there and they somehow get picked to play for the veto, it's us versus them at that point.
Right. And he breaks this down to Brittany, and Brittany's like, you're so smart. This is great. This is a great idea. And then we get Taylor coming in there, and she's like, mind if I celebrate too? Let's go. And then you got the little celebrating going. And it was just a nice scene, man, because Brittany and Taylor have been like on the bottom for so long.
So long.
And then Michael gets to come through and says, I got y'all. I got y'all.
Yep.
It was nice. It was nice. I loved it. Now, though, we get Joseph and Monty. They're talking about it. They're coming to the same conclusion at the same time-ish. Right?
Which is they need to sit on the block for the best of the group.
Yeah, we got to go up there. We got to show that we are pulling our weight, that we are, which I want to make sure this is clear. I respect the fact that they realize that they got to show that they're pulling their weight by going on the block. Because last season, like the cookout means so much to me. But watching X and Kylan try to say that Tiffany and Hannah were not pulling their weight was just the most, scratch that. Xavier, Kylan, and Derek F. saying that the girls were not pulling their weight was just like the most disappointing thing to see. So for these guys to recognize early that, listen, we got to sit on the block. Listen, Kyle is going to have to sit on the block eventually with Daniel. Michael and Brittany sat on the block. Taylor's been on the block 60 million times.
Yep.
We got to do it's our turn to take our time to take our shot and our seat on the block. So let's go sit there and get this done. I respected that so much. And they go and tell Michael, but Michael, as we already know, has already figured out this. So he says, cool, I love it. Go ahead, sit on the block. Sit on the block. That's going to be the plan. What do you think of that strategy right there, Siege?
I think it's a great strategy. I mean, if the name of the game is making sure Daniel and Kyle don't win the veto, well, obviously the first step is you don't put them up.
Right.
The next thing you do is you put up people who you think give you a strong chance at winning the veto.
Mm-hmm.
So, unfortunately, King Michael is the only one who wins vetoes in this house. So, the next one is, okay, well, who do you think is our next biggest perceived threat team? So, yeah, you put them up.
Mm-hmm.
Like, even if I think Taylor is a strong competitor, and I like she's still with Alyssa and Indy, and it depends on what I think of them. Daniel and Kyle, we don't want them to play, period. So they're not in the equation. I have to play. So really you're coming down to it's the three boys or it's Turner and Jasmine. And we just talked about how you don't want Jasmine anywhere near this competition as your choice.
Turner volunteers them because he's tired of Jasmine. He says, listen, we can go up if you want. And if something goes wrong, oops, Jasmine goes home. But then that's when Michael's like, we need able-bodied people.
Yeah.
And that's not necessarily what's going on with y'all.
It's funny because Jasmine is coasting through this season because no one perceives her as a threat. So Turner can't get rid of her even if he wanted to, because when he would have tried to get rid of her as HOH, he couldn't. He's like, Julie, I want to put myself on the block as HOH. Can I do that? Can I? No? Can't do that? Okay, fine. Well, anyway, because like Jasmine is going to be the person that sits there until 6 after they start picking each other off because no one is afraid of her.
Right.
Unless I hate to say this because it's fucked up, but like she won the pie eating contest. The only other competition I can think she could win is a chicken wing eating contest because that's all she's ever talking about.
Okay, so the pie eating thing, like it wasn't messed up because that's what happened. But that chicken wing comment was messed up. It was still funny though. It was still funny. I want to make sure that's clear. But that was the messed up comment in the thing. So I'll just make sure that's clear. Okay, that whole CJ with the Jasmine hate. But you probably right. I mean, she could she could beat him in a chicken wing is crispier than an air fryer, whatever it was, like looking better than a chicken wing in an air fryer. You know what I'm saying? Like that was. I just want to make sure that was clear. That was you that made that comment and not me, because it's right.
I just like I'm not a Jasmine fan, and I'm not trying to body shame her or anything like that. But like,
we big guys ourselves. We big guys ourselves. I'll make sure that's clear.
Yeah, I'm a big dude. But like, I have a real problem with the fact that she's been presented several times the ability to play in a competition and has opted out of the competition. So like, as a competitor myself, that tells me you don't want to be there. And then even in this competition, which she could play in, she actively didn't try. So
I mean, even on top of that, right? Like, I mean, we see the situation in the house where Kyle is getting animated and Jasmine's like, oh, my foot. Right. And Turner's like, check the tapes. I don't believe he touched her foot at all. She went days without walking. She would go days without walking.
But like the worst part is like they did show the slow-mo footage, and like did Kyle make contact with their foot? Yeah, but it's one of those like NFL roughing the passer penalties that everyone's like, well, where was the penalty?
Like CJ, I'm gonna push you right now. Let's see if you get a roughing the passer penalty.
That's just like happened.
That's what happened. That's what happened right there. And that's how Jasmine's been, right? I mean, she had Nicole wiping her butt for her when it first happened, right? Nicole had to go out there and wipe her ass. Like, she's been milking this thing.
Kevin,
milking it so much.
If you ever hurt your ankle, I would never wipe your ass.
I wouldn't want you to, man. I'm gonna figure it out. I'll be able to get down there and get it done because I hurt my ankle, not my hands, not my hands.
I was like, I don't give a fuck if both your arms got amputated. I'm not helping.
I get that, but Nicole is a real friend, I guess. Not like you, CJ. And she wiped her ass for her. But like, it's so crazy because, you know, as they were coming off slop and with all of Jasmine's ailments, everybody's been making food for her this whole week, right? The whole week they're on slop. Turner made all the food. All Turner's like really good, like his gluten-free food that he won when he was HOH and stuff. That they cooked up all his food while he was a have-not.
Yeah.
While he was a have-not. It was a rough situation for my guy Turner. So while all that was happening, when they were coming off being have-nots, Nicole made Turner and Jasmine some muffins.
So this was Wednesday night, about 10 o'clock Pacific time. Nicole makes the muffins, pulls them out of the oven. You get to see him out looking fluffy and nice. And Jasmine starts making her observations.
And she's looking. She's like, you know what? I'm going to take 2. Turner got 1. She got 2. Well, this is the best version of Jasmine. The muffin investigation Jasmine. So she goes out there and she puts her 2. She's going to save him to the side because she wants to make sure she has them for later. At this point, Turner has had it.
100%
Jasmine
done.
And all her stuff. So as the muffins are to the side, all of a sudden, half a muffin goes missing.
Dum, dum, dum.
I ain't seen Jasmine move that fast with the broken leg as she scooted her ass around the house trying to ask every single person, hey, do you know what happened to him? Did you eat this half a muffin? Did you eat this half a muffin? CJ, earlier in the season, I watched her have to sit down and then scoot herself down the stairs. She sure enough ran up them stairs to go ask Monty in the HOH room. Hey, did you eat this muffin, dog? Who ate my muffin?
Okay, you got to point out that she's now upgraded from the squeaky scooter to a boot and a cane. So she can actually move a little now.
And she's moving with haste. She's moving with haste as she's trying to figure out who ate her muffin. Who ate her muffin? And no one will fess up. Nobody will fess up. She puts on in the house. It wasn't an episode, but she puts on like a little detective outfit and she gets to work. She's like a forensic scientist. And she's like looking through magnifying glass. Who ate my muffin?
And it's funny because you say she's out there like a forensic scientist, but to me she looked like Inspector Gadget looking through the magnifying glass, just flying around the house. My favorite part of Muffin Gate was before she goes up the stairs, she's yelling at Alyssa and Kyle, who are up by the bumper pool table. Did you eat my muffin? Both of them. Nah, we don't. We've been up here the whole time. Whatever.
So I ain't even been downstairs.
Yeah. Fast forward about 10 minutes in the episode, and we get our showman's portion, and they're canoodling, and Jasmine pops her head into the storage room where they're canoodling. You know who ate my muffin?
Anybody ate my muffin in here? No. I mean, we ain't doing nothing. Nah. We ain't doing nothing, cop. Like we ain't doing nothing. Like we weren't just making out. Yeah. That was not what we were. I know it looks like it, but that's not what we were doing.
They looked like somebody was about to be like, hey, kids, leave some room for Jesus in there. Nah, just Jasmine worried about her muffin. Carry on if you don't know who ate it.
And then my favorite part of this scene is while they're sitting there, Taylor's like, she's sitting there next to Turner. She's like, man, she really like milking this shit and she's being real annoying. And then Turner's like, yeah, that's why I ate half her muffin. And it was like, oh, it was you? It was you. I loved that. And then you see her. So the part that they didn't show in the feeds, they showed that was on the feeds, but they didn't show in the episode, is that after that happens, Turner, Jasmine says to Turner, if not just Turner, to everybody, that I'm going to leave this as a little setup. And if someone takes the other half of the muffin, I know they're just trying to mess with me.
Yep.
So in the DR, we see Turner sitting in there. He goes and cuts the half of the muffin. He's sitting in the DR, just eating it, enjoying life. It was the greatest thing that happened. And it was the best version of Jasmine all season.
I just think it was funny because she's over here like, who ate my muffin? Well, when you see that he eats half of a half and you know that somebody's just messing with you, at that point, why do you care? Because the more you make out of it, the more they're going to mess with you.
And as Allison says here in the chat, if they drag her to the end, I hope we get Turner takes every episode. And I hope so too, because the way Turner looks at the camera whenever Jasmine's doing something insane, it's like he's on The Office. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? He's like, Jasmine says something ridiculous. He just.
Yeah. Big Jim Halpert energy.
Yes. Speaking of, you mentioned the showman segment, CJ.
Yes.
We get the showman part of the show. Now that they've kissed, all they do is make out
Right?
all
They're
the
like
time.
two horny high schoolers.
Yeah, yeah, and they are just making out everywhere,
Right.
everywhere.
Yeah,
It,
they're not
it's
even trying to keep it secret.
it's they're doing a terrible job. They're doing a terrible job of it.
Yeah.
But people don't seem to have caught them yet. But they kind of like assume they're doing stuff.
Yeah, I just think people don't care at this point, is what it really is.
Because like, why would you?
Nah.
You know, and like you assume they're working together, but they're mainly just making out
Yeah.
everywhere and kind of being useless for like the alliance portion of it. But so is this the showman? Is this the show? Is this the showmance you guys wanted? Kylissa? You got it. This is it.
Nah. And it's funny because like I don't think they have to be particularly secretive about it right now because they can't sit next to each other on the block right now. So it doesn't matter. Like you put up one or the other, and you guys think either way you'll be on the right side of the votes, even though we all know Alyssa would go home if she was there on the block.
It's interesting, man, because in the last episode, Julie was like, showmances are good for people's game, but that's not really true, man. If I knew that I had two people voting together, I just know I got to get one of them. That means they'll vote with me.
Yes.
More than likely, I would be cool with the showmans being in the game for a bit, probably to like 7.
Yeah, and I was about to say 6 for me. At 6, one of them has to go.
Yeah. Well, at 7, you put them on a block together, and I don't have to break a tie. Like we can have the house vote one of them out.
Yeah, because if you have to break a tie, the other one, like the one you kick out, is never going to vote for you.
Rachel Riley never forgave them for getting rid of Brandon.
Nope.
To this
day, she still goes in performs pranks at their houses.
That's exactly what Rachel Riley's spending her time doing. Performing pranks at their houses.
Yeah, what else would she be doing?
I don't know, raising a family, having an empire. Who knows? What else? That is
pranks. Here for the pranks.
Pranks. Well, I think a showmance is good for him, but Kyle's so worried about the showmance that he's trying to hide it still. Another thing that's funny is that he's trying to like hide it, but he's like making out and it's on camera, so like your parents see it, bro. So like if you're worried about your mom, like you're just slobbing this girl down on national TV. So don't forget about that, I guess.
Well, at this point, I think he's like, well, I don't have an HOH room to keep all of this private, so I'm just going to do it in public.
Yeah, pretty much.
Like, if they were in the HOH room, one of them would be naked the whole time anyway, because they'd be doing it.
Just all the time.
Yep.
Holly and April, BB10. Just getting it. Or BB10 or BB11. I forgot.
And I don't think anybody's going to give them the HOH room to knock one out, so they're going to have to win it.
Yeah, I mean, that's how they'll have to do it if they're going to be doing it,
But at the same time, if one of them were to win HOH, I don't think any game would be talked with the HOH that week because they would just be in there doing
it for a week. It'd be crazy. They can't wait to get to the jury house. But speaking of the jury house, know who's not going to make it to the jury house? Daniel. Because Daniel goes and talks to Michael. And he says, look, man, I'm alone in this game. I'm a wolf. I'm a lone wolf. I'm out here ready to work with whoever I got to work with, do whatever I got to do. I am a man without a home, and I'm willing to do your dirty work, Michael. Just point me in the direction you want me to go, and I'll go. And Michael lets him know, listen, man, the house wants you out. Straight up. The house wants you gone. And like, I don't want to like piss off the house, which is a cop-out answer, but in reality, I mean, he doesn't really want him in the house either, because when Daniel's out there shouting from the rooftops that Michael is going to win the game, and that Michael is a danger, and he put Michael up in the very first HOH because he thought he was him as a super fan. He did not want another super fan in the house when Michael's a real super fan, but whatever. He did not want another super fan in the house, and he felt like he'd be a danger. Now that he has to kiss the ring, all of a sudden, everything's chill.
It's funny because, you know, when Daniel was HOH, it was like Michael wasn't the first person to walk into the house because as a super fan, he knows they never win. So he's got
he was a part of that group. He was a part of that group.
Yeah.
Remember that fantastic move where Michael slides, points at the camera, lets Taylor in first? Daniel was a part of that group, and he saw what he did there.
And that's when he decided that Michael was a super fan, he had to go. And that's when he developed an illogical fear of Taylor for beating him in the house. I don't know. He's stupid. But my point is Daniel, like, he has come a long way from thinking you're on top to now you knowing you're on the bottom, and you're going to do whatever it takes to squeak by for another week.
It's odd, right? At the end of the day, it's odd because you're outnumbered, you're outmanned. Like you mentioned the Hamilton connection with the you don't have the votes to Nicole. Nope. This is that song with George Washington and Hamilton, and we're outgunned, outmanned, but he doesn't have Lafayette. He does not have anyone on the inside. He has no one. He's by himself. And I think it's interesting because the strategy of going to tell Michael that I can be your secret agent, if you will. Jackie says it right here, is desperation. You can't win if you're not there, and that's true. But if you're desperate like that, you reek of the desperation. I smell it on you, right? So it's not subtle. Michael needs to come to that conclusion himself that I'm good for his game. But for me to come out there and just be like, use me. Yes, I did come for you. Yes, yesterday I did say that you're going to win the game. Let me help you win the game. No, you're right. I did call them sheep for letting you win the game. But let me help you win this game. It doesn't work.
It's like, I don't know. It would be like coming to a potluck and bring in like bottled water. You know, like everybody else is bringing something to this meal and you have nothing to offer.
Right. You had nothing. And that's the hard part is that, like, I don't know. So I think so if I'm Daniel, first and foremost, I don't fly off the handle when my closest ally goes home like that. I don't just like start calling out people's games because I gotta regroup and I gotta get back to work. Right. But he's a way more emotional person than I am. So that is something that he would do. But the way you regroup there, like you didn't win HOH. This guy is now the HOH. I would go up there and tell him, listen, man, I know that I am the house target. I get that. And obviously you've got something going on here because you voted the right way twice and I did not. Right? I did not vote the right way those two times. So you obviously have something going on. Obviously, I'm alone. Like, these are things that are obvious, and I would be pointing out the fact that they are obvious. Yeah. Obviously, I'm alone. But I'm still trying to make moves here, right? I'm going to try to lay low now. And I don't know how best to lay low and say I could work with you than by just telling you that I can work with you. Don't build yourself up as the raw dog dude that's going to take him out. Say, look, man, I'm just a number. Whatever you want me to do in terms of the numbers, I can do. When you position yourself as the guy that could take, I mean, he says to him, I could take out people in your alliance that you want to take out. That's nice and all, but like, that's not really realistic. I came for you twice already, right? I came for you once when I put you on the block, Michael, and I came for you again when I called you out yesterday. What I would also ask him, what do you need me to do to stay in this house? What do you need from me?
Yeah, because like, if you have nothing to bring and this is going to be a one-sided relationship, I have no incentive to keep you. So let me tell you what to do, and this could be your audition. And if I decide to keep you around, worst case scenario, you're trying to get me out, but I've already beat you in everything. Best case scenario, I have someone who has my back and no one knows. And I could turn that double date agent on at a later time.
Yeah. That's I mean, another thing, I would have probably also never said I'm a free agent. I probably would have pretended like I had some numbers, right?
Yeah.
I probably would have went and said, listen, I'm going to be able to get Kyle, Alyssa, and Jasmine and Indy to work with us, and Terrence, because he says I have Terrence, right? He's like,
Yeah.
I know that you're kind of with them. I could probably help strengthen that relationship because I know they voted Nicole out, but Nicole was the obvious one going, right? I blew up a little
Yeah.
bit yesterday, but she was the obvious one going. So with her being the obvious one going, I get why they did it, but I can still have them work with us. Whatever we have, I could probably pull the votes together. Obviously, me and you know that this argument doesn't really help him,
Not at all.
but that's the argument I would have used.
It's funny because Dan, like you said, he's a very emotional person. And it's very evident in his outbursts and behavior that he's never thinking through the ramifications of his actions. All he's doing is living in the moment. So there's no long-term plan with how you're going to win this game. You're just taking it on a week by week basis. So yeah, I don't have an answer for how Daniel is going to win this game other than he's going to continue stringing along with Michael. What I do think Daniel could do, I don't know, it's tough. Every time you claim you have the numbers, all you can really do is continue bluffing, I guess. And he has been very bad at that. So Kevin has some technical difficulties, so I'm going to keep going and change the subject. So you have Daniel now. He's trying to get on the right side of the numbers.
Sorry about that. I was having some problems with my camera. But I am back. So yes, he is having some problems with the numbers, and he is not able to get them. But this is his pitch, and it's Michael seems to consider it, but we all know that he's not really considering it. The numbers are locked in for the leftovers to take them out. But that's, I mean, all Dave can do is go there. And now I did like the fact that Michael did tell him, listen, if you win the veto and you don't use it, I gotta figure something else out, right?
Yeah, but that's when they're like, okay, we can't get rid of him. Oh, I guess we can throw up Jasmine and Turner because he wants to get rid of his bestie. Or we can just leave the boys up and we can get rid of Terrence. Like,
I mean, we know that, but I like that he said that to Daniel. He's like, listen, I can't. The votes aren't there. If the veto doesn't get used, you know what I'm saying?
Well, the other thing that Daniel, like, it's obviously unsaid, but it's if I win the veto and I'm on the block, I'm obviously using it. If I win the veto, I'm not going to use it. I'm going to respect your wishes, and I'm going to try my best to get Kyle to not use it either.
And it's interesting because after they have this conversation with Daniel, Michael regroups with Brittany, and he says, listen, should we be looking at a bigger move here? Yeah, the leftovers are good for us, but like we can't do nothing once we get down to 7. We're a little bit too late. Too little too late, just like that JoJo song. So should we make a move sooner, maybe against like a Monty? Because I mean, like we were just talking about at the beginning of the episode, Daniel put Monty on Front Street as a perceived winner of the game.
Mm-hmm.
So by putting him on Front Street like that, it made him look more dangerous as someone that could actually put this away, right? So that is something that's going to be on Brittany and Michael's mind if things were to go wrong. But ultimately, we're going to get them putting up Terrence, Michael, and Joseph with the plan to backdoor Daniel in place.
Yep.
That's the episode, man. It was fantastic. It's a very easy week for the leftovers. Once Brittany and Michael, so it's funny because once Brittany and Michael got the HOH, the week was over, right?
Yeah, everyone
Someone
knew what the plan
outside,
was.
someone from outside is going to go home, preferably Daniel. If not Daniel, Terrence or Jasmine are the backups in that order. Because he's not putting up Alyssa, Indy, and Taylor because Taylor's not going to see the block again. Thank God for the queen.
Right?
You know?
Just let her have a week chilling, eating Lays, having a good time.
Exactly. Now,
so now with the HOH in place, you have the three dudes who are sitting on the block, and you have Michael getting ready to go into the veto competition as the episode ends.
right. Now, Dick wanted to know, do you like this twist overall?
I don't. And the reason I don't, we've talked about on here, is that last year you had the cookout with the plan of everybody gets a buddy, you sit on the block with your buddy, that's how you get rid of them.
The master
And
plan.
and with this, you introduce the buddy system. So all the alliance has to do is form their buddies the same way the cookout did. So anyone who watched last season can implement this plan because it's already been, they were given them the blueprint.
Mm-hmm. Just like Jay-Z.
Yep.
Blueprint Volume 1. And this was originally set up for Post Pack. Like, it was set up for them, but then the leftovers made it work from within the Post Pack situation and made this work out for them in their favor, right? Dick also wanted to know, do you drag Jasmine to the end as a GOAT? I wouldn't, because Jasmine is still a dark horse to win because she does talk real well, because she lies, because everything that she says she does believe.
And also, she's going to end up having a few friends over there sitting on the jury with you, especially if you did everything and got all the blood on your hands and she just sat there silently by.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it's funny because you say, would I drag her to the end with me? No. And it has nothing to do with the fact that I'd be afraid I didn't beat her. It's I'd be too annoyed by her to continue living with her.
That's why you got to turn her around. You know what I'm saying? Because Turner's got to keep that levity. But then that's how Turner wins the game, I guess.
Yeah.
All in all, it's a good episode. The week's kind of set up. I can't wait to talk about the feeds. So if you are leaving now, thank you for joining us. Join us on a Wednesday at 6:15 Eastern or 9:15 Eastern, immediately following the episode. As Kylie, Sheldon, and I think I'll be there for that episode. We'll be talking about what happens in the veto episode, and we'll be getting ready for the live eviction of maybe Terrence, maybe Monty, maybe Joseph, maybe Kyle, maybe Daniel. Who knows? We'll find out in the veto episode. So join us there. CJ, where can the peoples find you?
Find me on all the socials at Keyboard Sarcasm. I be on there tweeting about Big Brother. I don't really use anything else.
Yes, and you can find me on all social media platforms at KG Fury. I am there doing all the tweets and writing all the stuff and making the jokes and having a good time. You can also follow For the Fans at For the Fans Reality on all social media platforms. Check out our TikTok. Mike be doing the most with the TikTok. Check that out. So if you're taking off now, see you later. Make sure you like and subscribe. We're going to get to 250. We're giving away that golden power of veto. So yeah, get that subscribed. And we're going to wait a few seconds, CJ, because we got some feeds to talk about.
Yes, we do.
We got some feeds to talk about. 5 more seconds and get up out of here if you're leaving. If not, come on in. All right, CJ. Michael's the HOH.
Yep.
We have Terrence, Monty, and Joseph on the block. It is the day of the HOH, the veto competition. The only thing that can mess this up is if Kyle and Daniel are playing in the veto competition because they could possibly win the veto and ruin things. Do you know who are the 2 players in the veto competition?
I do not.
It was Jasmine and Turner.
Oh no.
That
That's
is a
terrible for our boy Daniel.
it's terrible for our boy, for our hero Daniel. It's not
Daniel's
looking
definitely
good.
the hero in his own story.
Yeah, it's not looking good for the hero Daniel. So sure enough, the veto was played, and it was OTEV. We got OTEV this early in the show.
It's very early for an OTEV signing.
Way early for an OTEV, but we got OTEV this week, and from what I understand, Michael used the stack philosophy. So you know the stack strategy?
Yes, of course, where you start pulling out your answers early and set them off to the side.
Yep, and a little spot hidden. And
Yep.
from what I gathered, he put them on a little spot, a little corner, so that way he could go to them quickly. And the veto comes down to Terrence and Michael.
That's shocking to me.
Yeah, and yeah. Also, though, in this competition, at some point, Turner dislocated his knee. Brittany cut herself open where she had to get stitched up. Monty and Joseph also both sustained some injuries. I'm not sure that Jasmine competed.
I would assume
not.
I would assume not. And like the OTEV, that slide down is always brutal. So hearing injuries, not surprising, but that many. Because I mean, last season, if you remember, Big D permanently dented the fake tree at the bottom that was there to stop him.
Yeah, I do remember. And like from what I understand, there was like plexiglass that might not have been rounded. Ooh. And so they were cutting it was gashing them open. So there were a lot of bumps and bruises and scrapes. And from all accounts, both Michael and Terrence state that Terrence threw Michael the competition and told him, we need to make a big move. We'll talk after you win the veto. And sure enough, the Veto King wins his 4th veto of the season.
The king stays king.
King stays king. And Michael is now the veto holder, which by extension is another veto for Brittany. Let's go, Brittany. 2 veto wins, baby.
That's not how that works.
How is it not?
Michael
won week 1.
I guess that actually is how it works because she's a veto holder at the meeting.
Correct. No, she wins the veto too. Congratulations to Brittany on her 2nd veto of the season. And wow. Michael and Brittany win the veto. And with Michael and Brittany winning the veto, we are now in a place to make a move if we want to, but not.
And it goes back to what was shown in the episode about Michael and Brittany talking about making a bigger move. The problem is it's too early. Like, you take the shot at the wrong time, you end up blowing up your group, you end up on the wrong side of the numbers. You need to make sure that you can insulate yourself with your numbers when taking out another part of your own larger number.
Also, you can't be the one to do it. Earlier in the weekend, Michael said to the cameras, Terrence, Mike, Monty, Joseph stay on the block. And if oops, Monty goes home, oops, Monty went home. It's got to be an oops, though. Didn't see it coming, wasn't a part of it, didn't know it was going to happen. With Michael and Brittany being the veto holders, there's no oops there. Michael made the move.
Yeah.
So, as he's holding the veto, Terrence comes up to him and pitches to him that, hey, listen, man, from what I heard, Monty's going to win this game. So this is our chance to make a move. Leave me and the boys on the block. I've already talked to the girls, and we got the votes. Jasmine's ready to make a move against Monty. Alyssa is. Indy is. Obviously, Daniel will vote that way. I'm on the block, but we could probably get Brittany and Taylor to make that move too. That's 6. Mm-hmm. That's the numbers. That's the votes. You only need 4 in this situation with Michael breaking the tie.
Yeah. Unless
need 4.
The only issue you run into there is Michael afraid to take the shot. But even with only needing 4, there's 3 people on the block, which means the other 2 could split votes.
It's not even about the It's not even about with whether Michael's afraid to take the shot. As we said, it has to be an oops.
Yeah.
If Michael's voting him out, that's not an oops.
Yeah. That's what you wanted.
Yeah. And so, but once again, like we talked about in the beginning of the episode tonight, there's a line in the sand that they refuse to acknowledge.
Yes.
So they think that they still have Michael and Brittany with them, so they can make this move. So Terrence has this conversation with Michael. About 5-10 minutes later, Jasmine comes up there and says, "Listen, we can make this move against Monty. You got me, Alyssa, Indy, Terrence, Daniel's on board. That's 5 right there. We got the numbers, baby. Yep. Let's go get this. Let's make this move happen. Because Terrence can't vote. So we have the 4 right there. Let's make this move. We can make this happen. We can go and take Monty out." And immediately as she leaves, Michael says, "It's very interesting that both of them have the same story."
I wonder who could possibly be working together.
I could wonder who could possibly be working together. Indy comes up, has a different story, has the same similar story, but then Alyssa comes up and says, if you want to make a big move, Monty's right there on the block. You could probably keep it the same. And then Michael, being the very good game player that he is, says, who would be the votes? And she goes, well, obviously Jasmine, myself, and Indy. And then we can probably pull in Daniel, and we could probably make that move.
Yeah.
The moment Alyssa leaves, he's like, I'm definitely not making this move because obviously the 5 of them are still working together. Clocks it right there, pinning it, done. They don't know about the leftovers. They thought they were making a move.
It's funny because Amira and Nicole have both been able to name almost all of them, but they haven't been able to pin the last person for whatever reason. So obviously the people in the house know about who's in there, but they don't know who to trust because they're not certain where the numbers are.
Right. So they think that with Michael, they could try to make this move to save Daniel. And then like another thing that I didn't like was all of them had the same conversation of Daniel's a lone wolf. We could try to pull him in. Bruh, if you guys are all trying to pull him in, that means he's already pulled in. He's not a lone wolf. He's got a group. It's y'all.
He's got a pack.
It's y'all. So that's not going to work for us. That's not going to work.
It's funny because, as we talked about earlier, what is the one thing that whole group has in common? Taylor hate.
Yep.
And it's blinded them to the bigger picture of Taylor has allies and y'all can't figure out why, because her allies are just like, yeah, what you said. Yeah, you're right. Gassing them up. And they never say anything about Taylor poor anymore either.
Right. And so they still just have like the low-key Taylor hate, and they're still rolling with that. And Michael is like, talks to Brittany and says, listen, man, they're still together. They make sure Joseph and Monty know, because what they were concerned of, Kyle all weekend has been concerned that there's going to be another group made, right? It's going to be a group of Jasmine, Monty, Joseph, Taylor, Terrence, and Indy, because they have a like background. And he wanted to have a counter alliance of himself, Brittany, Michael, Alyssa, and Daniel and Turner.
Yep.
Well, that group has something in common. We're not going to get into it, but that's what Kyle is concerned about. Now, that group is not really founded because it all started with Michael and with Joseph and Monty letting the leftovers know that Indy, Jasmine, and Alyssa wanted to pull them into a group, the 5 of them.
Yes.
Well, if these 3 are saying they're willing to go for Monty, obviously that group is not actually secure. So Michael has the forethought to say, listen, I'm going to make sure Monty and Joseph know that this is their pitch so that they know that they ain't got nowhere to go but the leftovers.
Yep.
Which is a great idea. Kyle is still concerned about this group forming, even though he doesn't see what's right in front of his face, which is the fact that Jasmine and Alyssa Jasmine and Indy are coming for Monty, therefore they cannot be working together. I don't know why he doesn't see it. I mean, I do know why he doesn't see it. I have comments and thoughts, but It is what he is concerned about and what he thinks is happening, which is not cool, right? Which is an issue.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on these alliances that Kyle thinks are going to happen?
I have a lot of thoughts that we're not going to go into right now about it, but my biggest problem with this from a game perspective is that Kyle is already trying to paint himself as the mastermind of the game. In his exit videos with both Amira and Nicole, he points out that he, quote unquote, founded the leftovers. So he's trying to say, okay, this alliance could happen. This alliance could happen. We need to have a preemptive alliance, whether that becomes his primary or backup, we don't know. Although it is very convenient that the one that he's proposing has Alyssa in it. I'm going to leave it at that. Trying to create this backup alliance helps me ensure that should something go wrong, you stay on the correct side of the numbers. So I get that. But he's like, if you're already telling people who left the house that you helped mastermind the leftovers and they're the reason that they exited the game, why would this change now when you're so close to jury? Like, keep owning this alliance, because you could say that you've been in control of the game since week 3 if you keep these people together. Mm-hmm. So that's my thought.
Well, obviously, this doesn't really bode out well in terms of the numbers. So, with them showing that they're working together, this plan, if you will, to get out Monty is not going to go through. And all day Sunday, everyone thought that they got it. They got it done. They convinced Michael. They got him. In reality, Michael was just chilling, and he knew that. So this morning, Monday morning, time of recording, that he was going to be delivering a message letting them know that he will not be following through with the plan of leaving Monty on the block, and Daniel will be going up. So he almost blindsided them. They all thought that it was going to happen. He almost blindsided them. But I love the fact that his reasoning was that he made a deal with Monty to save him and Brittany from going on the block last week. Obviously not true, but it was a great cover story.
Yeah.
And I also love the fact that he said that he was going to honor the deal by bringing him down. And the house had told him all on Friday that Daniel was the number one target. So he's going to go ahead and just give them what they wanted, which is what they asked for.
Yep.
And with Kyle being on the block, Alyssa's definitely not voting him out. Neither is Jasmine, because that's their friend's boo. So he's got the numbers to stay, and Daniel's going to go out probably 8-1.
Yeah, because for some reason, Indy won't care to be on the right side of the vote.
It's going to be Terrence. It's going to be Terrence.
It's going to be Terrence? I think it'll be Indy.
It's going to be Terrence. Now, the thing that's interesting, I don't know if you heard about this, but Mila wanted to know, did Michael make his epic speech? I don't know if you know about this, CJ.
So I saw some going on about this epic speech on Twitter today, but I didn't know what they were alluding to.
Oh, I can tell you. So remember week 1 when the people that were on the block were Michael and Terrence, and Daniel used the veto, and he took down, and Michael used the veto on himself, and he put up Taylor.
Yes.
Do you remember what he said to Taylor?
No. Oh yeah, he said he hurt some people.
Rubbing people.
She hurt some people. She was mean.
She made people uncomfortable. She was rubbing people the wrong way. Well, Michael's speech is, I'm going to read it to you verbatim. He's going to say, and you're going to see it in the episode, spoiler, he's going to say, to quote my favorite Elvis impersonator, what's good for the house is good for me. You've been rubbing some people in this house the wrong way, and I hope you take the opportunity to apologize for the things you have done.
Wow.
Just going to use his own words against the man as he puts him on the block to send his ass out the door. And he says, thank you. Thank you very much.
Oh, I can't wait to boo him. Can't wait to boo him.
I thought that was fantastic. Him being able to call back to Daniel's own speech 5 weeks ago. That was the joke. He set it up. Daniel set it up, and he said, cool. It's going to come. It's going to come. It's going to smack you right in the face. I love that and Michael's the one that's going to be able to deliver it, because though Taylor is not going to be able to be the one to get him out herself, delivering that speech is 100% vindication for Taylor. It comes full circle.
Yeah, because you start with Turner defending her and everybody being like, nah, that wasn't me. That wasn't me. Michael saying, no, this was you. Mm-hmm. I don't have to say it was you. These are your words. You know they're your words. Own what you did.
Yeah. And apparently, while he was sitting up there, Daniel was laughing as he said it, like he was in on the joke. And Taylor was talking about it today. And she's like, that smirk he had, like he knew what was going on. I know he was seething inside. And yeah, I'm sure he was, because his own, just like Nicole got told, you look so dumb right now. This is another chance to show the bullies why it doesn't fit for them to be bullying Taylor, because Taylor got friends. She got friends. In the episode, Taylor says, I get to hang out with my real friends, Michael and Brittany. But she has friends. People like her.
It's just the first couple of weeks, I was so stressed because the obvious path forward before Festy Besties was Michael, Brittany, and Taylor working together. But because of the dynamics of the house, they were actively working against each other. And it made me so sad. And as soon as the leftovers came together and they were able to work together within the context of a greater group, so happy to see them happy. Mm-hmm. Like, when I said earlier we were going to start watching the season by hate watching, it was because of all of the bullying and the fact that the only likable people were on the outside. They were going to be going pretty soon. And then, like, I loathe the rest of you here, so why am I even watching the show? Oh, because I want to give the people what they want. So It's very exciting that a week like this week has been, for lack of a better term, boring.
Yeah.
It's great because it means that the people that we like are in control.
Yep.
And that's what
and I'm here for it. I'm happy to be here for it. Does anyone have any questions in the comments? That's pretty much what's been going on in the week. The fallout is that Terrence and Daniel are like, this move doesn't make any sense. It's so dumb. He could have had us. Oh, well, I'm going home. I'm not going to campaign against Kyle because Kyle's so likable. It's real boring. Like Daniel has a defeatist attitude, right? He's not a fighter. He's a quitter. 100%. Yes. It's in his blood. It's in his DNA. I hope he hears it. I hope he sees this, because that's exactly what has happened. He has quit multiple times in this game, and it's insane. And I cannot believe that you worked 10 years to be on the show, and this is what you got from it. Now, you think that you've been unfairly treated, but that's not the case. You have been picking on Taylor, and then people have stood up for her, and you don't seem to understand why or how. So you're going to find out, and I'm so happy that he's going home before jury, because he gets to read the comments. He gets to hear this podcast. He gets to see everything that was said about him.
So
and he doesn't have to wait.
Is that your takeaway from Daniel?
Yeah.
Because the takeaway I have from Daniel is that, number one, he's a horrible person. Just straight up, like, to be the bully and not even see it. Like, come on, man, you got to have some self-awareness. But number two, we found out in this episode that he's been waiting 10 years to be on the show. How was the best final two name you can come up with is Rogue Rat? Come on, man. You could have did better. You had 10 years. Me and you have been trying to come up with a tag team name for us for this group for
3 weeks.
A couple weeks. But we could do better than Rogue Rats.
Yeah. We threw out Rogue Rats immediately. Immediately threw out Rogue Rats.
What is the worst name we could possibly come up with?
The Rogue Rats.
Okay, that's done. We can only go up from here.
We still gotta come up with a name for our 2-person podcast or Monday night show. Thank y'all for rocking with us, by the way. We appreciate everyone that's been in the chat, everybody that's been in the comments. We just riding out here. They out here with us, just riding with us as we sit here looking at these people be on the block. Oh, on the block. We're gonna work on something. CJ, you got anything else to say? Anything to close out with the people?
I can't wait to see who wins HOH next week, because the game within the game is going to start to begin as the numbers go down.
Yeah, man. Because so Daniel's dead man walking, right? Daniel's out this house. There's not really going to be anyone that turns. There's not going to be anyone that saves him, right? Because the leftovers are now even more solidified. Oh, by the way, last bit of information. Kyle was saying to the cameras that he's locked in with the leftovers again because Alyssa's move of trying to save Nicole left a bad taste in his mouth. So
That's funny.
He'll choose the leftovers over Alyssa at this moment because by saving Nicole, it would have put him in danger, and so he didn't want to do that. So, since she wanted to go with them and try to make this move, and then try to make this move against Monty, he thought that was a bad move on her part. He's not with it, so he's locked in with the leftovers. So the leftovers should be getting down to at least 9, if not 7. I say 9 because Michael and Brittany might make a move before that, but that's the only ones.
And that was the amazing thing about the cookout is they really did wait until the end to start taking shots at each other. At 11, that's when jury starts. You start worrying about jury management. You're going to start taking shots before they can take a shot at you.
Mm-hmm. It's what you got to do. What you got to do. Once again, CJ, thank you for joining us. Where can they find you again?
Find me on all socials at Keyboard Sarcasm.
Keyboard Sarcasm. Find me at KG Fury. Follow. Make sure you subscribe. Let's get to 250. We're here every Monday night. Me and CJ are breaking down the HOH episode of the week. Make sure you're in these comments. You're chatting with us. Thank you for joining us. And from outside the Big Brother house, love one another. Enjoy your time out here, and let's get another gif of Turner. Let's leave with Turner falling because this is just so funny to me. Here's another angle of it. Oh, poor Turner. Poor Turner. Oh, there he goes. There he goes. No. Oh.
Poor Turner.
Good night, everybody.